a just massive reminder to me and to everybody that health is different for different people. And so if you can move your body more in a way that works for you, then you are improving your health. Hey, welcome to the next episode of the Not So Typical Fitness Podcast. I'm Rhiannon, your host, and this is a podcast all about building a relationship with movement that actually feels right for people like us. So people who are neurodivergent, have anxiety, are suffering with confidence issues or mental health, this is a place for you. Let me ask you this. Have you ever loved fitness and then hated it? Or have you ever felt like it betrayed you, especially when your mental health comes into play? Or has your energy just been zapped and disappeared? Maybe your motivation ran off. Maybe you've been ghosted by your motivation and it is gone. And that is despite this discipline that we've built by going to the gym and despite the habits that we've got in place because we've been doing it for a while. I want you to know that you are so not alone. And today's episode, like all of them actually, is going to be raw and vulnerable. And this probably is the episode that when I was on my big weight loss journey a couple of years ago, I needed when I was in the middle of it. Because I'm going to talk about burnout and guilt and finding your way back without falling apart again. And trust me when I say I am coming back again from falling apart again. First of all, let's look at what burnout looks like for me. So let me rewind, because a few years ago, there was a time when I was in the gym almost every day. And not because I worked there, not as a personal trainer, because I was not obsessed, but I was on my gym girl era. I was in my gym girl era. I tracked everything. I had goals. I felt strong. And I had a personal trainer who was supporting me. I was seeing progression in the gym, in my weight loss. And on the surface, it looked like I had it all together. People would come up to me in the gym and tell me how well I was doing. People would tell me how I'm an inspiration. Yet, honestly, underneath this persona of somebody who was thriving, I was breaking. I was completely exhausted. I was ignoring my mental health, and I was struggling beyond discomfort. It was a danger place for me. And I'm not going to go into all the reasons why. I'm not going to give you the long list of situations and things that happened to make my mental health tank, but it was bad. It was bad. And I kept pushing because I didn't feel like there was any other option. I had a personal trainer who seemed to not grasp that my mind was meaning I was struggling. And the first thing to slip was my nutrition. And I started just to eat. And I would eat as a self-harm, as a coping strategy. It wasn't because I wanted to eat and I'd been restricting my food. It was because I needed to try and deal with my mental health and my emotions. And that was the only thing that I thought I could control. My personal trainer would tell me that I can control what I eat during that time, but my reality was that I couldn't. And actually what happened is that hearing those sort of things and having somebody not listen to me or see me as an individual meant that I also started to feel bad going to the gym. I couldn't go anymore because I felt like a fraud, because people would see this weight loss and they'd congratulate me and tell me what an inspiration I am. Yet I would know on the way home I'd stop and buy 2 chocolate eclairs and make myself eat them because I felt like I deserved to. Eating and mental health is a really odd one because it's almost this self-fulfilling prophecy where I would eat because I always felt like I deserved to be unhealthy. And so I would eat unhealthy food in excess. And because of how much I value honesty and integrity and authenticity, going to the gym and hearing people congratulate me and tell me how well I was doing made that worse. And so I stopped going. And I think if I had taken a break and reassessed and had somebody listen to me, I would have been able to choose to have a rest. But what happened is I got to a place where I broke, and It wasn't because I chose to take a break. It was because my mind and my body forced me to. I couldn't do it. I couldn't go to the gym anymore. And I didn't feel strong. I felt completely lost. It was like my body was heavy and uncomfortable and foreign. It wasn't the body of somebody who had done well and the body of somebody who was, made me emotional. It wasn't the body of somebody who deserved to be told, well done. And then I had this shame and guilt because actually what happened is by stopping going to the gym, I stopped that thing that I enjoyed. And that thing that I enjoyed became this thing that was laden with guilt and shame and disappointment. And if somebody, my personal trainer or somebody else, had been able to support me in a different way and help me identify the risk that I had of my mental health spiraling, and had actually, I needed somebody to help me work out a way to move forward in a positive way. And what happened is everything got negative and more negative, and it just got worse. And so I got to a point where it was, at first, my nutrition and gym were great. Then my nutrition slipped, but the gym was still okay. But then I was at a point where I then stopped going to the gym. My nutrition was still bad. And actually, that's then when I became a body. My body did change in a negative way because I stopped going to the gym. I stopped moving my body. I was mentally so unwell, I couldn't do it. And the guilt was so intense. And then I felt like I didn't belong. And I've gone through similar in the last 6 months where I kind of rebuilt, and now I'm trying very hard to find a new rhythm. And this is why I'm doing it this way. This is everything that I'm about. It's to try and identify ways that you don't have to just give up and abandon health and fitness. Health and fitness isn't just a product that you can buy or that you can make or manufacture. It's a choice that you have to make in my mind or in my life every single day. And I think if you are different to the norm, if you're not neurotypical, then it's important to think about these different factors and what might happen if your mental health takes a dive, and try and build in things that enable you to continue on. Because if I had been enabled to continue going to the gym, I might not be where I am now, but I felt like I wasn't able to go there. I didn't belong. I also want to talk about this whole idea that you sometimes need to give yourself permission to rest. So rest doesn't always feel good. It can often feel like failure. It can often feel like you're giving up or being lazy. But rest isn't quitting. Rest is actually rebuilding. And I grew up being told I was bone idle and lazy, and that I would do all these things or I wouldn't be able to do all these things that other people would be able to do, which meant that I would find it really hard to stop and just take a break, take a breather. And I've had to unlearn a lot. And sometimes it's reminding myself that my worth is not tied to how productive I am or how fit I am. It doesn't actually matter if I put on some weight. Like, the reality is, you have to have a lifetime of bad eating. By having, a double portion of dessert one day is not going to ruin a healthier lifestyle. And I think that it also feeds into reminding yourself that skipping a workout is not a slippery slope to disaster. It does not have to be all or nothing. And that resting doesn't actually mean I will never start again. It just means that I'm giving myself a chance to come back even stronger. And there are days, even now, where I will lie in bed and I will ask myself things like, well, it's not even asking myself. Sometimes I ask my wife, why can't I just do it? Why can't I just go to the gym? Why can't I just try? But the truth is, and a lot of the gym bros will disagree with me here, but recovery is not just physical. It's emotional, it's mental. And when you've burnt out hard, your body doesn't trust you. And it's hard to rebuild this trust. It's hard to find this balance again. And then it's this vicious cycle because you are shaming yourself for not being able to do the things when sometimes you just can't do them, and that's okay. Doesn't mean that you'll never do them. What would it look like to be able to rest without feeling guilty? If I didn't have this shame and guilt associated on days where I couldn't do it, then would that make it easier for me to get up and do something the next day? It's a really interesting conundrum to be in. So, seeing as I'm going through this right now, let's talk about tiny steps that can help someone to start again on their own journey. This is not about running before you can walk. It's not about going right back to what you used to do. So if you were at the gym 5-6 days a week and strength training and doing fitness classes, we do not go straight back into that if you have had a burnout. But let's do some little things. So a 5-minute walk after you've had a coffee. Build it in. If you have a coffee, you go for a 5-minute walk. Let's build something else in. If you're waiting for the kettle to boil or a coffee machine to warm up, stretch. Let's clean the kitchen whilst listening to music and call it movement, because if you're moving your body, you are prioritizing your health in a way that works for you. And I'm going to just shout out here to Maddie from the Mad About Money podcast, because she does 7-minute kitchen dancing. I think I did a podcast with her. I'll put it in the show notes. And we were talking about prioritizing your health, moving your body in ways that work for you. And she told me that I think it was when she drops the kids off at school, she'd come home and she would do a 7-minute kitchen dance, like a kitchen disco. Amazing. Because it makes her feel good because she really enjoys music. She can listen to music that she hasn't listened to for a while because she's a parent and has these other things she needs to be doing. And she's moving her body in a way that feels right and good. And there are times where we can do things like that and it is moving our body more, but it doesn't feel intimidating or difficult because we enjoy it. And I'm going to do some of these things because I want to start to feel my body again, and not in a punishing way, but in this connected way. And I think if you're listening to the podcast, even if you haven't reached burnout, you could try and build in these easy things to do, because there might come a time where you do struggle to go and do your gym workouts. And by building in things like stretching while watching the telly or whilst waiting for the kettle to boil means that you're moving your body more. They might be the simple things that you can continue to do even in burnout. Let's talk about the idea of swapping should for could. And that will help to take away this guilt and shame, because let's make things a choice again. So rather than saying I should be going to the gym, let's reframe it. I could go to the gym. And if I do go to the gym and I show up, well, that's progress and it should be celebrated. And if I do go to the gym, there's a much higher chance of me then doing a workout. So again, that's progress. This will be my, I would say, 3rd attempt now at getting back into it. This time's different because I'm a personal trainer and I'm showing up also for other people, not just for me. But this is like a reset time and just a massive reminder to me and to everybody that health is different for different people. Movement is movement though. And so if you can move your body more in a way that works for you, then you are improving your health. So just have a think, what is one tiny, joyful, that's the main thing here, joyful, something that makes you happy, movement that you could add to your week? Could it be something that feels more like self-care than control or forcing yourself to do something because you should? So if you're in the messy middle right now, where I am, burnt out, slightly overwhelmed, maybe disconnected, I want you to know that it is not forever and you're not alone. You do not have to hustle your way back. You can rest your way back. You can just learn to hear and listen to your body, because when you are ready mentally, your body's going to meet you there. It's not all about being physically fit. We need to think about mental fitness as well. So take a walk, have a stretch, breathe a little bit deeper, because it all counts. And if this episode hits home, I would love for you to join me at the Not So Typical Fitness community over on Heartbeat. It is a small but mighty community of people who are neurodivergent or just not needing something typical. And we share wins and successes, and we share the challenges, and we support each other in a way that works for us. So until next time, show up, stay you, and go gently. And just remember, you are doing better than you think. I promise.